Hello everyone, my name is Padmaja and today I'll be talking about our research in automated detection and characterization of biosignatures for understanding the origins of life. The recent launch of Perseverance is a major development in astrobiological research. According to NASA, the goal of Perseverance is to look for signs of life on Mars. A big part of the exobiological research goal is to look for evolution in the universe. The data acquisition technology like drones and rovers is getting very sophisticated. This allows us to reach further in our search for life and provides a lot of useful data. However, this causes a lack of ease of access of physical samples among researchers across the world. This calls for tools that can tackle this issue with the capability of remote assessment. Furthermore, there is an increasing amount of data that is being collected, which will eventually cause an overhead in terms of computational power and other resources. It would be extremely beneficial to design automated tools that can model the visual and statistical features of the data in question. This will also allow us to incorporate the much needed features of scalability and reproducibility in our models. And last but not the least, our task is search for life. But what are we looking for? What definitive features should we be searching for? And this is where we propose the translational research. This essentially means that we learn from what we know, and what we know is the story of evolution of life on Earth. And then we apply this to the unknown. In this case, it could potentially be the Perseverance data from Mars. To this end, the Ediacaran fossil record proved an ideal starting point. The Ediacaran period is known for its unique sedimentological record. As can be seen from this sample image, the crack-like structures right here are called double ripple bed forms. During the Ediacaran period, as shown in the second figure, consecutive storm events did something unique. They stacked on top of each other and preserved the organic mass within them. These structures with upper and lower ripple with a fossil in between them are called double ripple bed forms, or ripples for short. And as can be seen, the post-Ediacaran conditions don't exhibit the same characteristics. In this case, the storm events actually erode these mats. And so the Ediacaran period presents one of the largest preserved and definitive biosignatures of early evolution of life on Earth, and this makes them extremely suitable for our current assessment. To learn from the Ediacaran fossil record and perform remote automated assessment capable of adapting and allowing translational research, we propose a tool called SpaceEgg, which is scene-aware perception automation using composite embedding for segmentation. If we look through these images from 1 to 5, we notice the practical conditions in which the data was collected, and the dataset is not exactly controlled. There is variation in the ripple sizes, the relative ripple thickness, field of view, atmospheric conditions, lighting conditions, artifacts, and so many more different conditions. And so, even though this is a challenging data to work with, this actually presents us with an important opportunity to account for these real-life variations in this data and the future data to come. And therefore, we hope to model our data and SpaceEgg to be robust to practical imaging conditions, and therefore it should be scene aware. Moreover, a lot of times the artifacts such as external objects, shadows, branches, and other cracks, these cause a lot of errors. Specifically, the shadow artifacts and the non-biotic cracks present in the rocks present themselves very visually similar to the ripples that we are interested in. And so we also have to incorporate something called a perception automation. That means the output that our models give needs to be perceptually meaningful, and it should be able to reject all of these different artifacts which are visually similar but actually essentially meaningless. And if the model is able to generalize based on these two features, then we believe that it can be translated to other terrains on and beyond Earth. The overview of SpaceEgg looks something like this. It is actually made of two parts. One is an unsupervised rule-based model called Cora and a deep learning segmentation model called SGE. Cora essentially develops a region activation, which looks like this, which highlights the regions where the ripples are expected to be present. And then SGE does a more fine-tuned segmentation using the deep network. Diving into more detail, we see that Cora is essentially a composite image optimization for region activation. What this means is it casts a feature representation based on a holistic feature aggregation And then this composite image basically is later optimized to generate the region activations. In the feature space, it looks something like this. We have various feature representations like texture, hue, saturation, spectral density, entropy, luminescence, and so on. And we want to combine all of these features to make something meaningful out of it. However, in the physical world, we can't just combine these features because they're physically different. And so we cast them all to the latent space onto the same scale. And on this, we do some significance analysis using eigenvectors. From this analysis, we pick the three principal components and we cast them back to the visual space, and we make them into RGB channels, something like an RGB channel, a 3-channel image. And that image looks something like this composite representation. Now, something to note is that the composite representation already starts to detect the differences between the shadows, which are here, and the ripples, which are dark yellow. And this is something interesting to note because this kind of auxiliary representation cast onto the latent space and then the significance estimation is actually starting to give us something meaningful here. And so using this composite representation, we then perform energy contours and gradient optimization to find these ripples with the minimum energy and high gradient. The output here is the region activation. And this region activation map, essentially we see that it's starting to highlight the regions of the ripples and rejecting all of these shadows and the vertical cracks on the rocks. We use this as the context to our SGE deep network for segmentation. But before we go into SGE, I would like to show you some results using Cora. We compared Cora with some of the standard unsupervised clustering techniques. The images that we pick here in this analysis are actually deliberately picked to show the variation in lighting conditions, the size of the ripples, where the ripples here are extremely thin and close together, whereas here the lighting is much bright, but the shadow is actually an artifact. Whereas in this case, the shadow is caused because of a same ripple structure. The top and bottom are from the same ripple. So we see that there are extremely high variations in these images, and it is important to find meaningful ripples here. And we see that most of these unsupervised methods do a lot of over segmentation. They try to compensate for the lack of a ripple, something like this, which is very difficult to detect. And so in process of detecting this, they over segment the rest of the ripples. Sometimes when the terrain gets extremely difficult, it becomes difficult to converge. And that is why we included this as well. And we note that Cora actually goes ahead and activates most relevant regions in all of these ripples. And that is something that is quite significant to note. We use this image as a context or saliency map into our saliency guided encoding, which is the deep network. We call it the saliency guided encoding because the context, attention, or saliency, whatever we call here, this is guiding our encoder at every step of the way. So what it essentially is doing is it's doing a feature fusion at every step of abstraction. So it's a hierarchical fusion, and at every step, meaning as we go deeper into the network, there is a higher level of abstraction in the feature representation. And so the saliency is guiding our image at every step of the way. And we note that by doing this and using the same saliency during the encoding process as a context makes it extremely impactful in the segmentation that we get. The output that we get from SpaceX is shown here. Just like the images, the networks that we picked here to compare are also deliberately picked. The UNet is one of the most commonly used segmentation models. The deep crack is specifically designed to detect cracks in concrete or roads. The PSPNet is a pyramid scene parsing network, so we expect that a scene parsing network would be a very good standard to hold our SpaceX model to. We can see here that when there's a lot of shadow artifacts, UNet does a lot of over segmentation. At the same time, when the ripples are very thin and close together, it merges all of them together. The same thing happens with deep crack, and it starts to lose a lot of its resolution here in the thinner ripples when it tries to do that. PSPNet performs better than UNet and deep crack, but at the same time, we can see that it does a lot of over segmentation here when there's a lot of shadow present. But at the same time, when the ripples are extremely thin, here in the top left corner, they start to merge together again. And we see that SpaceX is able to handle all of these problems very efficiently. And we see this clearly in the visual or qualitative results as well, but we also show some quantitative results where the accuracy, precision, and structural similarity of SpaceEgg is very high. We note that the recall of UNIT is better than SpaceEgg, and that is because UNIT does a lot of over-segmentation here. And that is why, at the expense of a little bit of the recall, SpaceX does a better job of generalizing, of optimizing the detection of the ripples that we are interested in. Now, the next question to tackle is why not just use either Cora or SGE? And the answer to that lies in this figure. We see that when the terrain here is extremely kind of different from the rest of the terrains, where the ripples are extremely very large. And if we look at the other terrains, it's easy to think that these tiny lines here could also be ripples. And that's where Cora starts to get confused. And we use SGE to improve that performance. Basically, SGE is making up for the Cora's confusion by the feature that has learned before. Same thing, when the field of view is very high, then Cora starts to bootstrap this performance, where SGE starts to do the same over segmentation and ripple merging as UNet and PSPNet, but Cora bootstrap the performance of SGE. And that is why we believe that the combination of a rule-based method and a deep network segmentation is optimal for our ripple detection. In conclusion, we note that SpaceEgg is extremely accurate in detecting the ripple waveforms. It does scene-aware detection by being robust to a lot of practical conditions, and it is able to reject a lot of imperceptual artifacts. And we believe that the combination of these three features is a very strong foundation for translational research onto different time periods and to extraterrestrial research. Thank you very much, and let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them.